engine, but I did my little Ferrari that's gone missing.
Ah, right, I see. Well, have you worked out how magic will help you get Catherine back at all?
Oh, just to say, are you recording, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I mean, I started. How did I start? I started just looking at the various systems, like the Kabbalah system, and I'd always studied theosophy for a long, long time. I'd studied the Ledbetter, not Blavatsky, didn't like her. Ledbetter, A.E. Powell, and you know the Great White Brotherhood and all that theosophical.
Oh, I don't actually. Ledbetter, Powell, Great,
Charles
what's that?
Ledbetter and A.E. Powell. It's theosophy, and I joined the Theosophical Society when I was in my 20s in London, and so studied the astral plane, the mental plane, the causal plane, and our bodies on those levels, and how we awaken. And over time, I've become more conscious on those levels, like. But then meeting, I mean, when I met the girl who said I'd been under Monarch, she was in a group with Nina Valentine. Nina Valentine had been on Miles Johnson. And so I then went to Miles Johnson myself and said, oh, because I thought, oh, is this the next step of what people that have been through that do? And so I said to him, can you interview me? I think I'm one of these people too. And when he interviewed me, he talked about being awake on the astral, and I'd had it such a long time. And sometimes when I'd be watching TV, I would feel like someone attacking me, you know, which would be astral, sort of almost like you can almost feel it physically if someone's like punching you in the nose again and again, or just dragging at you. And I would always think I couldn't do anything about it. And sometimes, you know, interactions with someone, and then you would feel their sort of anger or them attack you astrally, and I would just sit and take it. I wasn't aware that you could, you know, fight back. And Miles Johnson educated me a lot in that. He said if someone comes at you, attack you, you've got to fight them back. So if I'd be sitting watching TV, I'd feel someone in my mind's eye attacking me, I would then go astral myself, which is just to click into that astral body, and I would fight them. And it made me realizing that awakened a lot, and it made me, I think, more conscious on the astral plane, and talking about the monarch mind control and how it works. And I was recalling lots of different things that I remember one time when this real IRA commander had a trial in Dublin, and I went along to it and stood there just staring at him right deep in the eyes before it was. And I thought, why am I doing this? Because everybody was looking their side, the special branch guys were looking. And then after the trial, I ran round the side and did the same thing in the prison thing. And Mars said, oh, you were passing information. And I thought back, and it made me feel a bit like better, because I was doing it yet not knowing what I was doing. And then afterwards, I questioned myself to do something like that in front of special branch. There was a whole crowd of them there. The guys was watching. It seemed silly because it was almost like we had, you know, something to say to each other, but I, you know, could write to him. But and he said, you went there just to pass the information, and it just give me so much clarity, and give me clarity around the way it works. You know, they basically and they read Douglas Dietrich as well, you know, getting to know him again through basis, and you know, them saying that Colonel Michael Aquino was the one who thought up all this. And he had been to London around the time when I was in the orphanage. Whether he was involved with the Jesuits, who knows? But I tracked him down, emailed him, and then I tracked down, well, Douglas Ditch's name came up. Then I went in Douglas's show, and Douglas pointed out how it's controlled by the astral. So these people that have the monarch mind control, they're controlled by the astral. It's not little men sitting somewhere in the physical realm, it's controlled by the astral. So it made more sense to me, that kind of thing. So we're basically like little chessboard pieces that can get moved around, and we don't know shit about what's going on. And it made sense of my life, you know, just to, you know, doing various things, and how I was manipulated. and manipulated, being psychic as well. Even makes you easier to manipulate. Like I would, I always had prophetic dreams and knew what was going to go on, because I'd have these prophetic dreams. And I would have things like, I remember dreaming about someone called Joe, and he had light red hair, and we were on a boat somewhere in Ireland, and he was a real IRA guy. And he was like a soulmate to me. And I'd been told by another psychic my soulmate was called Jay. And so obviously I thought, oh, this must be my soulmate. And I had these very intense dreams about him. He seemed very real. Sometimes driving the car, I would have in my mind's eye would come in like a vision about him. Love songs would play on the radio. I would be moved to tears, and I just knew because of my psychic set that I was gonna meet this Joe. And so when I got involved with Northern Ireland, and it was a really weird thing how I did get involved, I started thinking, oh, this is it. I'm going to get involved here with the IRA at a deep level, and I'm going to meet this Joe on a boat, and that's my twin flame. And so it gave me the impetus to dive deep with them, and it's really hard. People think it's a piece of piss to get close to the real IRA, but I mean it isn't. I mean, I was interviewed when I was living in Belfast by the other journalists, like from The Observer and Henry MacDonald and Rosie McGowan from The Guardian. And they were like, how come you're so close to the real IRA? But it took me years, literally, to burrow like a little just burrow closer and closer. And I would do maybe a story that was in their favor, and I would say, look, I've done this, now can I meet Mooch Blair or one of the sort of hires? And then I'd meet Blair, and then it would be, oh, now I want to meet this one. And so gradually I met all of them. Gradually I got invited to their meetings, and gradually I got closer, but it wasn't done in a rush. And it was always dangerous. Whenever I went to South Armagh, I was always aware that at any moment somebody might say, oh, you're a spy, aren't you? And it made it worse that I'd worked for these detective agencies that are ex-MI6. I mean, they could at any moment say, well, we found this out. And I remember talking to Greg Miskey of the News of the World, because I was obviously a journalist as well at that point. And he said to me, tell them before they tell you about that. But I actually couldn't bring it up. I thought, should I? But it sounds so dodgy to just come out with that. I thought,
wouldn't.
Nah. Yeah, I thought, nah, I'll leave it. Oh, by the way, I used to work for MI6. No.
That might be a death sentence.
I know, and they don't fuck about, those guys. They don't fuck about. They would sit me on a cooker, they would light it up, and they would, And I had a bad experience when I went to Crossmaglen, where I did get threatened with the cooker and the gassing of a cooker, and I'd asked to meet somebody, and then I got taken in a car to a safe house to meet this person, and the whole thing was dangerous all the time. It was dangerous, and all the time in my head, the impetus, because I'm not really moved by money, money doesn't do it for me, but love, yeah. I've always wanted to meet my soulmate, have that experience, and so that was the impetus. It was like, I'm burrowing deep, and one day they're going to say to me, oh, there's somebody you should meet, and he's called Joe, but he's on a boat. And that was, it was always in my head. And I remember telling one, I ended up having a relationship with one of them, not called Joe, and second in command, not the top is McKevitt. It wasn't McKevitt, it's McKevitt's friend. And I ended up having a sexual relationship with him. And but it wasn't, he wasn't red-haired, he wasn't on a boat, no connection to a boat. So it was weird. And I remember thinking, is this just is this part of it? Later on, I thought, is that part of it to get close down there, to get you to sort of spy? I mean, I stayed over at his house. I had the run of his house. He was held responsible for the Omar bomb when his house was raided. That was after I'd been there. I mean, was I some kind of spy, not knowing I was, to go there to be their eyes and ears?
Yeah, you were. It sounds like you were lured through the love angle that was implanted.
Yeah,
That was the implant to get you there, to give you enough drive to so you could power through all the danger, because you had that drive to find Joe.
I did.
And that's gave you the strength to do it.
I did, and it was such a I mean, recently, and it's interesting because when they were, nicking all the X News of the World's people, I had loads of diaries because I keep diaries. I get through about one exercise pad a week, and so I had all these diaries about when I was in Northern Ireland. But I got it in my head, oh, Christine, you should destroy all those, because what if you get raided for PI stuff, So I shredded them. But I kept diaries, and they'd be very valuable for me right now to see what I was thinking. But I found one the other day, and it had writing about that Joe, and it was me talking to myself and just saying, it's obvious you're going to meet him, and God, the feelings are going to be amazing. And someone that's been sexually abused, because I haven't had a good sexual experience with men, I haven't fallen in love, I haven't had that. So that lure of that, was it was so, as you say, I powered through it, and they're very hard men to get close to. I remember one time getting off the plane from England to Dublin to meet one of them at the airport, and they were taking me down, and literally had to get in the car with one of the command, and they would just drive into the darkness into Dundalk. That's a very terrifying thing to do, especially with men that are very, very paranoid. And I remember waiting for him to pick me up, and I shat myself, and I had to go to the bathroom, clean myself up, go back again, and it happened again, and I had to go back to the bathroom, buy a skirt because I was in trousers, and put the skirt back on, and then stand there and give myself such a talking to. I was looking in the mirror, I was going, just do it, do it. And just forced myself and got in the car. And actually, when I did get in the car with the guy, and they are a bit sort of crazy as well. I just felt his crazy, and I thought, I can't do it. And we just drove off straight down into the countryside, headed for Dundalk, and I pulled the lever to get out, although we were going fast, so I don't know how I could have got out, but it was just instinct. And I just leaned forward and I pulled the lever and opened the car door a bit. And he went, what are you doing? And I said, I don't feel right, I thought I'm going to be sick. And he goes, if you act like that, he said, we're going to start thinking that you're something. And I said, what do you mean? He said, look at the way you're behaving. You can't sit still. You're squirming. You're trying to get out of the car. He said, and I'm driving. He said, why are you doing that? And he said, I'm taking you straight to the leadership. And he said, if you behave like that, shitting yourself and being, like you said, but I had, he said, if you behave like that, in fear, we're going to think you're something. So, oh God, it was horrible. It was just,
It still astounds me that you've done it, because these people are killers. Rightly or wrongly, they're killers. And I know they're killers because I've lived in places. I've heard 3 IRA bombs going off now, and I've known some of the people that they've killed. And they're killers, So quite understandably, you're in the middle of it with them.
Yeah,
so
and down there, and then to start having sex with the second in command. It's a famous name, and if I say it, but I don't want to. I've said it before, but
don't say it. Yeah,
and he was paranoid as well. He's paranoid, and thinking now, I'd never do it. I mean, I'd never do it. And the terrifying thing was, I would flip from altar. So I would be like at his house sleeping over, and the conscious side of me, even that side, I would say the Catherine side, the stronger side, would think, wow, mate, are you mad? I'm a journalist, and here you are, you're taking me to your secret little pub you go to, the seat. Okay, they know about the Emerald Bar. I know, because Dundalk and South Armagh is an intelligence black spot, meaning the army can't get in there. And Robert Narat went down there. They chopped him up and fed him to the pigs, and they found his gums under Drummond T Bridge. And he was just in a bar. He wasn't even spying. He was just going there and singing.
Why can't the army get in there? Is it too dangerous?
It's too tight. So as soon as you go in there in a car, you get a tail. I remember going to a Real IRA press conference in South Armagh, and other press members were there. I got in a cab and we were driving. He goes, we've got a tail straight away. And soon as strangers come in, they tell you. and they got lads going about.
Right. So they've got a good surveillance arrangement going on then.
Oh yeah. So no, if you're a stranger, you're in danger straight away, and you can't go in one of their pubs, and that is just crazy. You'd literally get dragged out the back room and asked, "Who the fuck are you? What are you doing here?" And so I knew all the pubs that what's her name? I won't say his name. Went to, and I remember thinking at the time, this is crazy that we're getting so close here. And then I had a sort of drive of a sexual attraction to him, where I got in my head, oh, you got sex with him, it'd be really brilliant. And so seduced him more or less and got him. And then it was a case of going back to his house and sleeping over. And when I was back there, I flipped into my normal state, which is probably me now talking what I call Penny. And I just shit myself. I knew obviously how I got there because it's like a co-consciousness, but I never would have gone there, and I was scared of him. And he noticed it. That's one thing about the Irish as well, which makes them so difficult to spy on. They've got a sixth sense. So they will look at
Oh yes, very famous for being psychic.
Yeah, they will. That's why you can't spy on them. And they will look at you, and they will look at you deep in the eye. And if you're anything, they'll sniff it. And he sniffed. It was quite amazing because at the time I didn't know. And he said to me, "Do you know you're two different people?" And I said, "How do you mean?" Because I thought he was just getting at me. And he said, "Well, one is like some kind of crazy person." That's me now. He was talking about she's crazy because she's scared of everything, and you act like I'm a monster, and you're shit scared of me, and she's crazy, and she's moody and depressive, he was
How
describing me.
romantic.
He was describing me, and she's boring, which is it's
Oh, keep talking, darling.
and he said, and there's the other side, that I like. And he said, because I'd flipped at that point, and he said, and I don't like this side of you. And what is it? Is it some kind of mental illness? So I started crying and said, well, it must be. I mean, I realized at that point I was shit scared of him, and all I wanted to do was get out of his house and get away. And things were going around my head like, is he going to kill me? Is he going to kill me? And I just said, no, I don't feel well. I don't feel well. I think I should go back to England. I don't feel well. Of course, an excuse like that doesn't really wash, does it? So
No.
it's like, well, what do you mean? A stomach ache or headache? And no, I just don't feel well. And it just sounds paranoid. It sounds suspect, doesn't it? And but he would take me, he would take me back to the airport, or he would take me to the bus station, and fair play to him that he did that. But
Yeah.
it was, I mean, that happened twice, and all the times I went there, which was many, many times, and the News of the World were paying all the time, because I was saying to them, oh, I've got to go out to South Armagh, I'm going to get a story, or I've got to go out there because this. So I was getting paid to fly first class from London to Dublin, or London to Belfast, and I was going nearly every weekend, and I was getting first class hotel. So I was staying in Balbriggan Court, which is in their area, or I was staying at the Imperial in Dundalk, or I was staying at the Europa. But that was all free. I was all getting paid, and I was getting paid for my time. And they didn't bat an eyelid. News of the World didn't bat an eye or say, well, what exactly are you doing?
The whole story is strange.
Well, it is strange.
It doesn't really make any sense. I'm not saying you're lying. I don't mean it like that, but it doesn't really make any sense.
No, the interesting thing is, Joanna, I have the proof, because it is so like, I mean, when I first started telling it to Miles Johnson, I know the Duncan O'Finian one went on Randy Maugham's, and he said, it's quite funny because he's got southern accent.
Go on, do it. You've got to do it. Go on, do it. Do the impression.
I like that. The southern accent, so sexy.
Kentucky, he's from. Yeah, Kentucky.
And he said, like, oh, have you heard of this one, Christine Joanna Hart? Well, she's been saying that she's a monarch marketer. She knows the real IRA. She knows the real bitch. You don't know the real IRA. X-Men is the real IRA leader. Now, everybody knows it's Michael McKevitt, but never mind. The X-Men is, and I talk to him all the time.
Oh, you forgot it.
Like, And it
You've
had
got
a
the
weird
lion
effect on me.
skank, but
It
remember when he
it
called you a
had
lion skank?
oh, that's it. That's it. I forgot that. How could I have forgotten? She
Because it was
is.
so hilarious.
She is. She is. Kristen Hart is a lion skink. And I remember my son heard it, and we were driving, we were listening, and we kept doing it over and again. You are a lion skank. And I don't know what I felt. In one part, I felt thrilled that someone with such a sexy accent was talking about me. But on the other hand, I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, but I've got proof of it, for God's sake, because I did an expose. Well, it wasn't an expose, was it? Because I was just talking to them. We get inside the Real IRA. It was a spread and a front page in the News of the World. And, there it is to prove my interviewing the second in command of the Real IRA. And also after that, the Sunday, because you see, to get paid to go out there, I couldn't say to my bosses, oh, well, you're paying for me to go to Northern Ireland every weekend, but I'm not doing anything. I had to fess up something. So there's that story. And then what happened, the Sunday Times headhunted me because my Real IRA stories were bang on. Well, of course they'd be bang on. And so I was doing quite a few for the News of the World and quite a few on the UDA to balance it a bit. And then the Sunday Times, it was an INLA guy who introduced me to the editor of the Sunday Times and said, look, he's seen your work. Will you work for him? So I'm like, well, of course, it was a step up. So then I've got loads of stories. Again, I've got them. I mean, one of them I'm looking at right now. The Sunday Times, where I had my byline on, and it was what the Real IRA were doing. And then word got round, and it was mainly the INLA guy who was a bit of a media contact person who would then tell TV people, oh, Christine Hart is the one for Real IRA. So whenever a bomb went off, I would get called by TV, by other journalists, and it got in a position where I felt a little bit ugly because I thought, well, hang on, I'm not on the side of these guys.
Yeah.
And then I got threatened by a guy called Peter Rose. Peter Rose came from the Daily Mail, and he's a piece of shit. He's dead now. Good. He came from Daily Mail. He was high up there as a crime correspondent, had very top cop contacts. Now he hopped over to the News of the World over Barrymore because Rebecca Brooks was very hungry for stuff on Barrymore, and she thought, we'll poach him, pay him a lot of money. He was offered a lot, and she thought when he got there he would fess up cop contacts on the Barrymore case and she would get a lot on Barrymore. So she hired Rose. Anyway, Rose is interested in the IRA, and he had a story about the Ealing bomb. And Greg Miskiw said, oh, Christine Hart is the one for the Real IRA. So he said to me, and I said, well, you're going to have to put my name on it. I'm not going to give you info for nothing. And so I sat down, we had a drink together, actually, Peter and I. And I was working from the News of the World office at the time. And I was telling him a lot. I said, well, I go over there. I said, the news desk pays for me. I'm in Dundalk all the time. I said, well, we can split bylines on stories, thinking that here I was making a friend. Here, he had, access perhaps more to special branch than I did. And there's no way I was going to spy on these guys. I mean, it's fucking dangerous and they would smell it on me, but I was, doing journalism. Yeah, sure. Anyway, I went to Dundalk one time, coming back, again, was going every week, and came back, I remember, got my car from Heathrow, went to a nearby petrol station, and Peter Rose rang me. And I said, oh, hi, Peter. And he went, oh, by the way, you're meeting up with my MI5 contact later tonight. And I said, well, actually, I just come back from Dundalk and I'm tired and I'm going back to my flat. And he said, yeah, well, that's the point, isn't it? You've just come back from an intelligence black spot. I said, yeah, I know I have. And he went, well, you're going to meet with my MI5 contact and tell him everything you know. And I said, Peter, if I spy on those guys, one, I will never be able to go back there again. And he goes, oh, why not? And I said, because they would smell it on me. He goes, that's a bit stupid. I said, stupid? I said, they are the sharpest people on the planet. I said, and I'm literally very close. They would smell it all over me. I'm not meeting your MI5 guy.
So he's bigged himself up to the MI5, trying to get in with them if he didn't have one already. by saying, "Oh yes, I've got this contact." What an absolute
Oh, knob. And here again is also proof for Duncan O'Finian. What happened next? I got very upset, actually. I was very upset. I think I sat in the petrol station and cried. I was stressed out anyway, just got back. And I always expected to be stopped coming through the airport, because obviously people watch those areas. Obviously people know you are. I felt watched. Obviously I was watched. Obviously I was told later there was a tap on my phone in my flat in London. I was actually told by someone called John Ross, who's ex-flying squad. He said, your flat is wired for sound. He said, you haven't just got a tap on your phone. Your whole flat is wired for sound. He said, and you're under surveillance. Remember, felt very upset when I heard that. But
who was surveying you?
What?
Who was surveying you?
The intelligence services, which, okay, is fine. I was backing down. I was a journalist. It was very close to people like that. So what? I expected it, but what I didn't expect was to actually become a grass, because you can't do that.
That's a death sentence.
It's a death sentence. And not only that, they smell it on you. I mean, what the actual fuck? So I rang a guy called Martin O'Hagan. He was later assassinated by the UVF. But I rang Martin. I knew him well, and I was crying. And I said, Martin, they've asked me to spy. And he goes, if you spied on them, he said, you'll be cut to pieces. He said, tell them you want £1 million to do it. He said, no, on second thoughts, tell them to fuck off. He said, because you'll be dead. He said, they'd hear about it anyway. He said, they said they've got contacts in MI5. He said, they'd be tipped off about it. He said, you'd be dead in minutes. He said, tell that arsehole. So I rang Greg Miskew at home, and I said, he's asked me to spy. And he said, you know what? He said, with that idiot, he said, the first stupid thing he did was coming. No, he said he's done two very stupid things. He said, the second thing was ever coming to the news of the world. And the first, most stupidest thing is ask you to spy for MI5. And he'd done it to someone else. He'd gone to another crime journalist and said, oh, you've got gangland contacts, give them to me. I want to give them to the police.
Yeah.
So actually...
I was going to say, this is the thing about journalists, because I went to journalism school for a short period. They're not for the brightest of people, generally speaking, and they're very weaselly as well.
Weaselly.
They're very slippery characters.
Oh, they are scum. They are
Yeah.
scum. Sometimes I say, I wasn't, but I did function as a journalist. But I hate that they're scum. He was there working as a cop. He was there to say this person's doing that person's doing that person as a cop, and that's not the way the News of the World worked around. I mean, the News of the World was rocking and rolling as a criminal organization. That was prior to phone hacking. They were using the SAS to spy on politicians.
Oh, yeah.
They were using serving SAS. They were very out of control. And they, of course, that ex-MI6 agency called me in and said, what are they up to? They didn't mention the IRA. If they'd have mentioned the fucking IRA, I just stood up and walked out.
Yeah.
Because I, wasn't up. But I've got, again, so what happened, I was very upset with Rose, and I thought, I want you to back off me, mate. And so Greg said he would take care of it, but I wasn't sure. So I had a contact in Private Eye magazine and Street of Shame, and I rang him and I said, this has happened, and a story appeared, and I've still got that as well, little proof. There's so much proof of my Northern Ireland activities because I was well known for it, and there's printed proof, and so story in the Private Eye rang, talking of spooks, resident copper at the News of the World, Peter Rose, and it was a whole piss take on him, how he didn't know how the News of the World cloak and dagger style worked, how he pestered me, how my information had made up his story on the real IRA, and it quoted that and said, well, it's got his byline on, but Hart, it was Hart's information and her contacts that made it up. And then how he threatened me to spy on them. And he'd actually said, oh, all right, Christine, you can do it the nice way or the nasty way. And they quoted that as well. And he just looked like a turd. And he was exposed in Fleet Street for what he was, somebody that couldn't be trusted. And you know what he did after that? He got his mate, John Ross, to go up and down Fleet Street and to say to every editor on Fleet Street, because I was a private investigator, worked for them, oh, you can't hire Christine Hart because she's got close to the real IRA and her phone is tapped. So if you want to give her work, don't bother because people will be listening into it. So he really, you know, and I did lose a lot of work. He got shafted. He did manage to shaft me back.
Yeah, but I'd be more worried about the Shinners wanting to, because they know that he wanted to spy on them, so he would become an enemy. So, but I was going to say, I've been to Armagh, and I know how they don't like English people. Without turning it into a long story, it was in a pub, and I was with my family because I was over there for a wedding, and I was with a group of English people, and there was like, you know, a group of men, locals, who were just giving us absolute evil daggers. They hated us, and then trying to get served in a restaurant, they wouldn't serve us because we were English. You know, I've been racially discriminated against 3 times in my life, and this was one of them, and it was utterly bizarre.
Yeah.
And where we got served was an Indian restaurant. Yeah, the Indians. But so I know that gave me a snapshot of the depth of feeling about the English. So what you've done is really quite incredible, and the fact that you also managed to talk to their enemies and things, and I don't know how you pulled it off. You know, I mean, well, I do know how you pulled it off.
As well, I haven't got the credit for it because what happened, it all got poured into In for the Kill and buried. And I think that book was a con job. Again, I met 2 serial killers in that book, and yet Chris Berry D is all over the internet, all over it. Oh, did you meet this one? Did you meet that one? I met Brady for 3 times, long period. Kenneth Bianchi, long period of time, far more than Chris Berry D, which is 10 minutes. And yet all that's buried in that book, In for the Kill, that didn't sell. So it's like something weird has gone on. I think that my whole story has been literally buried, which is annoying. I mean, Miles Johnson interviewed me. He interviewed me well over the whole subject and knew things about mind control that I didn't know. So he enlightened me on my aspects of my story. And then he took down basis 50. You know, I mean, his channel's down now, but he took down basis 50 and then he put it up again for a little while. But I noticed on certain shows of mine that went up there, it would have something like 300, 1,000 views, then it would go down to 300. So it made people, if they look at that, they think, won't listen to that story. Do you know what I mean? It was like my story's deliberately been buried, I think.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, to be quite honest.
Well, I think I'd like to come out. I mean, going back to the magic thing, because the part of me that did all that would be, well, is clearly really strong, and I knew it was strong, and I did a lot as that, Catherine, and for it to disappear and to leave me with just one part that hasn't done anything, any work stuff really, it's horrible. It's a horror story. It's a nightmare, because you know, I'm not the same person. It's almost like you're talking about someone else. It's not me that did that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if it hasn't gone. I wonder if it's just been shut down.
It has been shut down. It's
still there.
Down.
So I wonder if you could activate it if you started to learn about magic like you've been doing.
Well, yeah, that's why I did. And, you know, I made friends with Brian Barrett. You know, he's a magician. He's been saying to me recently, oh, you shouldn't study magic. But he just thinks I'm a normal woman. He doesn't understand. He thinks, oh, I'm a wee woman that, you know, but you know, in the way that, you know, people do, a wee woman that, and he said, oh, why didn't you study Reiki? That, you know, I'm taking a break from baking cakes. I'm taking a break from doing the cake baking and the icing on the cakes. And, oh, what shall I do with maybe I'll learn about magic. Well, it's not like that. And he constantly says I mean, he's helped me a lot. He's taught me a lot. But he, you know, has lately been saying, okay, so what happened with him? I met him, Joanna, after it was your fault actually.
Thanks.
We did a show together, and we were talking about Kenneth Bianchi, and we were talking about the psychic attack I got after I wrote the book about him, and it was visions of Middle Eastern beheadings, men in the sand, buried up to their necks, being tortured by the sun. And you said that spirit that attacked you, because it was a spirit, although it was connected to him because I felt his energy, it was definitely a spirit. And you said it's a jinn. So I went off looking on that channel. You recommended me Middle Eastern channel.
Blame the mysterious Middle East for always. No, actually, it's an excellent channel, Mysterious Middle East. You learn so much from it.
Well, I
So
did.
much.
And what happened, I found a man on there, might have been on there or maybe somewhere related, Sheikh Ben Halama. And Sheikh Ben Halama interacts with the jinn. Okay, he casts them out, but he also interacts with them. So I got him on the show. We had him on the show, and he did that casting. He said he casted out 2 jinn out of me, and he said, "You've been a victim of black magic." Well, I knew that because that's what the monarch thing is about. And he also said recently, I'd been a victim of it too, and I must meet this person, ask Allah to meet them that night, fight them, and then the black magic would cease. Now, when I then, after the radio show, I went and watched a movie. It went completely out of my head. I went to sleep, and again, I'm awake astrally. He came to me astrally, and I went, "Oh, hi." And he goes, "You haven't asked Allah to show you who did black magic on you recently." And I'm like, "Oh no, I forgot. I'd watched a movie." And he said, "We'll do it now." And we were in a desert. So I said, "Allah, please show me who's recently done black magic on me." So he showed me somebody, a girl appeared. I fought her. She then, went off. He sort of magicked her up. And then we were in the desert together. And he said, I don't know if he said it, but I saw something shimmering. I said, "What's that?" I think it might have been him that said it. He said, "That's a portal to the world of the jinn." And I'm like, "Oh, I want to go through there." Obviously, I'm very curious about supernatural. And I'd been awake on the astral for a long, long time and had supernatural experiences. Obviously, I was running towards this. I thought, yippee, happy days. So I walked towards it, and I went in, and I had the experience. There was a gatekeeper there, and this gatekeeper said, "You can't come in here. It's anti-human, or we don't like humans." He said, "But you can come in here as something else." And I said, "Okay, then I agree." And so he turned me into a spider, and literally I was a tiny spider in the desert. And I said, "I can't be." That made me feel uncomfortable. And he goes, "Okay, you can be a bird." And so he turned me into a bird, and I flew over this part, and I saw the different areas. And there was one area where they just burned like fire, and they burned like fire in praise to their God, whoever that was. And that was fascinating. Then there was another area that they said to me, "You can't fly over that area because they will smell that you are connected to a human body and they hate humanity too much." So couldn't go over that area. And then I came out of there, and I came back to my body, and then this creature appeared that looked like a Cenobite of Hellraiser. It looked like Pinhead of Hellraiser, but without the pins. And he said to me basically that he was my jinn, and he took me on a journey through his eyes. And when I traveled through his eyes, he showed me jars, and he said, "I've put your organs in those jars." And I looked down at myself, and I was just a skeleton. And then he snapped the head, he snapped my skull off the rest of my body, and that fell to the floor, the bones, and then my skull fell. And I looked down, and there was my bones and skull. And I felt good. I experienced what it was like to be dead. I was a wisp. And all the fear that I fear daily. I mean, I'm basically somebody that hasn't worked. I feel like a 15-year-old inadequate individual. And I fear life. I fear life. I fear not being able to earn money. And so I fear constantly. And I looked at he pointed to my brain, which was covered in red. He said, "That's all your fears." And it's mostly about physical and being homeless and stuff. And I said, "That's a good thing then to to be dead because it's no more fear. And I just felt free. It just felt amazing. And then I didn't know what to do with this being. I mean, it kept coming to me, and I thought, what do I do? And so I tracked down, I was Googling gin, and I tracked down someone, Brian Barrett, who was talking about them, rang him up, recorded it. I put it out on YouTube, it's on YouTube, and explained about the calf and how I had had the experience in there. And he said, you're going to have to build a relationship with the jinn. And so I was in the middle of trying to build the relationship, and I was getting a lot of psychic attacks. It was when all that YouTubing arguments was going on, and I was being visited astrally by this certain individual, and I was bothered about psychic attacks. But I'd always had psychic, I was always been targeted, always had the bad luck, bad luck. But weirdly, when Catherine was out, I didn't have any of that targeting. It's almost like everything she touched turned to gold. And literally, I had plenty of money coming in, and I could solve newspaper problems and stories just by sleeping on it and knowing the answers. So it was effortless money coming in, and a lot of it. And, but I was urge to not buy a house with it. Again, it's very suspect because I've ended up, homeless. So again, that mind control thing of, because they say when they finish with you, they toss you to one side. And of course, if you're poor, people don't believe your story because they're like, oh, come on, you didn't do powerful things. You're a schmuck who can't even look after themselves. It's very clever, actually. So I was in this position, and I was being attacked, and I'm used to being, targeted and attacked, but I was getting sick of it. And he said to me, you need to call on a spirit to work with as well as your jinn. So he gave me a sigil. It's a sigil. Now, all angels have a sigil. It's like a signature. Sigil means signature. So it's like, could be anything, could be a triangle with a squiggle through, whatever. He gave me, it was one for Shemyaza that the J.S. Garrett had channeled. I didn't know that at that time. But anyway, most of them have already been out there for years and years and years. So I looked up Shemyaza. He's a Gregorian angel, which means fallen angel. But I don't believe that all of these fallen angels are what we think. Like we always say, oh, they're evil. But we're humans. What do we know about angelic business? He's probably what Robert Stanley called a shining one. When I became homeless, I had done some psalm magic and called on Yahweh. So I pretty much didn't want to turn my back on Yahweh or do anything that might upset Yahweh, because I felt that Yahweh had saved me from a dire fate. So I thought, but I had encountered fallen angels before in dreams. I'd encountered Sariel on about 6 occasions in on the astral, and so I knew that not all of these fallen angelics are anti-Yahweh. And though I know people will be really shouting at me that I'm an ignorant sod to say that, but we really don't know what the hell's going on, and we don't really know, is it humanity at the moment causing us all these pain? Or is it jinn, or is it some of the fallen angels? It's not all of them. I think it's mostly humanity, but never mind. Anyway, so I had this sigil, and I said, well, how do you use sigils? Because I didn't know. And he said, well, you meditate on it, you stare into it, light incense, proper incense, where you have to do the charcoal and all that. So I went and got that, lit candles, sat there, was very upset, and got to a point where I was very upset and needed this to work. So I stared at it for a long time, and as I stared at it, I felt something unfold in my mind, and it was like wings, and I saw wings, like not just 2 wings, but many, many hundreds of wings, and I saw like eyes in the wings, not so it wasn't like ugly, it was like beautiful, odd actually. And I think Brian had said to me that it was he'd said something, and then this being said, I'm an angel. That's not true. I'm an angel. And it said to me, I'm an angel of the seven corners, or he's linked with the angels of the seven corners. And he said to me, for protection, you need to look into the angels of the seven corners and get yourself a talisman of the angels of the seven corners and wear it for protection, which I've now got, which is just sigillum de Amath. There is such a thing. I looked it up and I'm now wearing one. He said that's protection. He said that payment had been used on me. And my brother, my adoptive brother, had channeled payment, and payment is a demon of chaos. And payment had got his hooks into me and brought chaos into my life. Clearly not the altar part, but just me. I brought chaos, and I remember then my brother would have these tantrums where he would smash up the house, and literally they would go on for hours and hours. And instead of my parents slapping him, which I would have done, they didn't. They just let him smash up the house and, go crazy. And it was very highly stressful to live with, because it would kick off at any point. There was no peace. He was a kid, but there was no peace. And this angelic being said that it was payment through my brother, and that my brother was of payment, and my parents weren't, that they were mind control, but he was. And my brother did flatten a lot of things. He sexually abused me, bullied me every day of my life. And, he was more or less like a prison guard that tormented me in my cell more than anything else. He certainly wasn't a brother. He was like that. And similarly said he was of payment, and that's why payment had constantly had me as a victim. And then he said that he would offer me protection for 10,000 moons. This is an odd way of speaking. 10,000 moons, and to get my jinn and the price for his protection would be to get my jinn to, gosh, I think align with him or something. And then he gave me some instructions, and the instructions were, he said he was going to give me some seals, and I would draw the seals and make the seals, and the seals would offer me protection. And then, and this is all spoken in almost like really oldie worldy English. And he said, when payment comes and sees the seals, then he will stop coming. And that was a good few weeks ago, and I haven't drawn the seals. What happened? He then gave me instructions not to eat dairy, not to eat meat, to disconnect myself from this world, and to he said that I'm fairly old and yet had the maturity of someone very, very young. And he says out of kilter, but then that's my altar, it's not the whole of me. And he said that he will change that, and he will alter that and send me wisdom and give me some lessons. And I don't know, maybe trusting my instinct with the mechanic was part of it, because I didn't trust my instincts, and I do go to people pleaser. So I think he wanted to make me stronger. And Brian Barrett then started saying, oh, you're getting bad luck, but you're dealing with a god. You're dealing with a god, but you're getting bad luck. Well, I said, but thing is, if all of us have good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck, we end up like, one of the wives of St. Margaret's, like little girls. What I was envious when I encountered these rich kept women, they were like little girls, because they've never had hardship of life. So they swan around in like pink tutu dresses, but they're children, in a way, yeah, and they can do the matureness with the nice clothes and look mature, but they're actually not. So he really wanted me to grow up, and growing up is painful. So I disagreed with Brian. So he said, break off from him, break off from him. He's not helping you. Go and do Reiki, go and learn Reiki. But once I've, which I wholly disagree, because once I've made contact with, I am not about to spit in the face of having a interaction with a being like that. And I know it's for real because of the way he talks. It's so unusual, and it's strange. And he said as well, look for my image, and you will find my image, and then keep it keep it like up or whatever. And I did. I looked online and I found it. A guy called Peter something who's drawn the Watchers, and there's an image of Shemyaza. I'll probably put it up. We put this on YouTube. I'll put it up. An image of him, and apparently it's a proper image. And what happened, interestingly, when I had the interaction, as I was telling you, with Kenneth Bianchi recently, and his jinn came at me, and I called on Shemyaza, and it immediately stopped. Immediately stopped. You're totally protected astrally from the attacks that I'm normally not protected by. And then I was sitting on a boat with the jinn. I was able to question the jinn and talk to the jinn, and so what happened, Shemyaza then said, you have to commune with me morning and nighttime. And before you commune with me in the morning, you must bathe, because then it's not pleasing to him, whatever, if I'm not bathed. I can only guess we're like little hamsters and we have to get rid of that human smell. I can understand that, you didn't want to sit there funky and not washed. So I mean, I've kept a book, and I can read a bit out of it. So the book is kept on the altar. He said to make an altar. The altar is there. It's my desk, actually, which I made to altar. He said to leave fresh flowers for my jinn, so I do that as often as I can. Just put fresh flowers on the desk, just strew them, tell my jinn it's for. Okay, so he's basically said, here's some of the instructions. He said, listen to my N, sing my N. Now, you can find that on YouTube, Shemyaza's N. Now, an N is like a sigil. An N is a song, and it's specific to them. Every angel has an N. It's spelled E-double-N, as every angel has a sigil. Listen to my N, sing my N. Get up immediately to bath. Use oils in your bath, and after, drink pure herbal tea. Sleep, praise me, then wake. Your mind will become less chaotic. Payment enters. He will come for many moons until he sees the seals. You're to make these seals, and I'll show you how. I'm more than your mind can comprehend. I'll bless you, but when you act, you'll rise. I am linked with Yahweh, but any of this is too much for you to comprehend. Chaos I see, chaos. Oh, your brother brought chaos into your life since birth. He held Payman tight. Is Payman's offspring more than your parents? Your father was mind controlled. All his family were abused and tested on. Forgive him, love him. He fathered you. Your mother was angry. Only your brother held Payman. I have to write these notes after, so they're not in exact words. Do not say his name. No mention of the name, but know the enemy. Relax, let me come in, use your jinn. It's just as powerful to push things forward. Straighten yourself. Let me clear Payman from your mind, and you'll feel more serenity, less fear, less chaos, less reaction, far, far more peace. Believe in me, believe in yourself, believe in your goodness, believe in God. Do you think it's pleasing to create a God that you only believe in the suffering and bile of life? The deserts, the wind, the moon, the stars, the sun, your son, laughter, love, all is his. Praise that part of the creator. And then I felt him like firing up my chakras, like really spinning them and making them glow while he was saying, praise God, praise God, praise Yahweh. So I then said praise. Then he said, pray with me to Yahweh together. So this kind of goes against people saying, he's against Yahweh. I don't think we know what's going on right now, but I know I'm not going to be against Yahweh. And I did say that to start with. Okay, so then he went on to say, bathe when in my presence, behave with wisdom, I'll send you wisdom. And then he asked me for my name. I said that I'm nameless. I've never related to a name. I've got, Tracy and Christine, and none of them seem like me. Then he said, you have an Ifrit to use him. And then he gave me my Ifrit's name. And then he said, I'm not a frit, I'm an angel of the seven corners. The incense is pleasing. You may commune with me again regularly. That's my price. In return, I'll give you wisdom, reflecting your age. Then he said, you need absence of chaos. You've been much influenced by Paimon for many, many years. I'll now end that. You're fully protected. In return, I asked you, Ifrit, to worship me for 10,000 days and 10,000 nights. These are just my notes. And I ask that you worship the elements and realize that they are alive. Fire, water, wind, earth, spirit. I ask no sacrifice by your dedication to these elements. Use a purple candle. Use your voice. I ask for daily connection to me. Let your magic power end your poverty problem. Be yourself. Do not fear. Do not fear life. God recognizes you. Like purple candles, make me a daily prayer. Search for my image. Light incense for me in the morning and in the night. Pray for the Creator with me. Then he goes on to list to stay away from meat products, alcohol products, to make myself humble. Then I left it, Joanna, for a long while. I was conflicted. Again, Brian Barrett said to me, oh, you called out for Jesus when you were having a bad dream. Now, I don't think, I know some of these magicians think, but I have to say, I'm now becoming a magician. And I would have to say that I am a magician because I'm communing with an entity on a regular basis. So I think I would have to call myself that. So he says, because you called out to Jesus, Shemyaza would like it. You have to break off with Shemyaza. I'm just totally disagree with that. I just totally, Shemyaza has never said anything against Jesus, anything against Yahweh. And I know people listening will say, but talking to a fallen angel, Jesus doesn't like that. Yahweh doesn't like that. But I again have to stress, I think we humans don't know. Okay. But it put me off for a couple of weeks. And so I didn't do the bathing. I didn't speak to him basically. And so then I came back after a while and he went on and said this, you have not connected to me. You have buried yourself in fear and doubt. And then it says you are very worthy, and he basically more or less forgive this. And then he says, daily speak to the elements. He's urging me to buy a book on the elements. He said, I come from higher realms, deepest dimensions. You can traverse them all with or without me, but you need to lose your fear first. Then he said, celebrate being physical, see the preciousness in you, a golden heart. And then it said something, your jewel-like chakras. Then he says something, oh, my fleshy mother, meaning my adoptive mother, could not see your chakras. So how could she reject you or despoil you? Own them. You're part of God, as powerful as a thunderstorm at midnight, shaking this earth, as powerful as lightning are your words. Share yourself, your thoughts, your spiritual connections, day and night. Then it goes on. Do magic. Ask me for things. Ask me for good health. Ask me for a home. So then I did. I said, which time will tell whether I get that, but I did. And then he says, I ask in return that you greet me. I ask that you commune daily. I ask that you bathe. I ask that you commune daily. Offer your gin, flowers, that's all. And then he goes on. Today, I will send you a new heart. I'm sending a golden fire into your heart. Lean on it. Know it. The flaming heart is now yours. Let it offer you counsel. Let it offer you guidance. Let it offer you support and strength. All praise to the highest. You are much pleasing to me. Fear has lessened. Strength is blossoming. Conviction is growing and a flaming heart. This must have been the next day. Hold your head high, let your body heal itself. Talk to it, heal it with a blue flame, heal others with a blue flame. You now have that power. Fear not. Oh, I was being attacked by the jinn, not my jinn, the other. And it said, fear not the jinn, for we rule over them. Fear not having a human suffering something. I can't read that. Your part here is to educate others, to teach and prepare. The earth is to be cleansed through the Father. All life forms will travel upwards or downwards. Time is short. The reign of the evil ones is over. Rejoice. So
that's good.
Yeah, there's a little bit of information as to what's going to happen there from him. The flaming heart was, as he was talking about it, I was seeing it, this heart on fire, and I saw, I was then led to a book, and the book was all about the elements, and the elements, we have elements in all our organs, and if they're out of balance, our health suffers. And my spleen has too much water, not enough wood, and my heart has too much water, which makes me fearful. It doesn't have fire element in it. It's not balanced. So I've been learning how to balance them for others, which is handy. And I've been learning how to concentrate on the fire in mine, because I've been missing that. Anyway, going onwards, then he's given me a list of bathe, eat light food, walk, push myself on exercising, return, eat broth only. Money will come to you, a home will come to you, magic will be through, to practice magic, that will come through magic, and then for me to get belief. Then he's saying something like, you're asking the Father, the Most High, the honor is all his, not mine, basically saying that he's getting, anything I get is from the Father. Okay, 1 second. And then he goes on, and then I left him for a few weeks, just because, again, that Catholic Christian, oh, am I doing bad here? Am I doing wrong? All the time I had Brian say to me, cut off from him, cut off from him. You're getting bad luck in your life. But, you know, one has to look at bad luck sometimes and say, is it a lesson? Is it, you know, is it growing me? Because if we don't get bad luck, we stay stagnant. Anyway, then I ignored him for a couple of weeks, and then I came back to him again. I didn't have a bath before I came back to him. I just lit my incense, got stuck in, and he basically said, do not treat me lightly, as I am not to be treated lightly. I'm increasing your consciousness. Use it, learn. Think not about money. I'm bringing that to you, a gift from me, and to prove to you my worth. Love your jinn. He is your jinn. Oh, it's interesting. I had been an astral experience where I went and I saw Lucifer, and Lucifer was talking to everybody, and basically the beings of this earth were praising Lucifer, and Lucifer was growing. So I think it might be Lucifer's causing all this pain here, because Lucifer was basically wants the earth to carry on, and so do some of the humans that are having a great time here, you know, the ones that are running the place, and they're aligned with Lucifer, and Lucifer is like life lover and whatever, and Lucifer wants to continue but under his terms, whereas the other angels want the earth to end and Lucifer to be pushed out. So I think it's a battle of, it might even be a battle of fallen angels, re-fallen angels, who knows. Anyway, but I went and I saw a crowd around Lucifer, and I stupidly stood up and said, I confronted Lucifer. I said, Lucifer, Yahweh moves against you. And I was arrested and then kind of slipped out of it. But it was all astral stuff. And so he said to me the next day, you confronted Lucifer, which was very stupid because now he's aware that you're one of Yahweh's chosen. I've thrown a barrier around you, for you are not yet able. And then he said, all we angels move against Lucifer, who has joined with humanity and joined with the jinn. That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. And then he says, he is Azazel and I work not with he. And then he goes on to...
He is Azazel and he doesn't work with... Who is Azazel?
Well, just read that again. My writing is shit because I scribble this really fast because a lot of time I'm channeling him. Do you know what I mean? Because
I understand.
Yeah. So he said, so what happened? It was in an astral experience and there was a crowd and they were praising Lucifer. Lucifer, I saw him as a really bright, shining light. And Lucifer was basically, it was the lovers of the world, the ones that have got the world in their control right now, let's say, the ones that are actually
Jeff Bezos and people like that.
Yeah, those M's. Yeah. And they are with Lucifer, and Lucifer wants the world to carry on, and so do they, but on his like population reduction, like getting rid of the useless eaters like you and I, all that kind of stuff. And but the others seem to want this earth to end, seemingly, want it over. They want the reign of man to be over, so they're like, but not to harm man, but for it to be. That's basically what's going on here. And so I got rather overexcited at this point and screamed out at Lucifer, although I'm not sure he heard me, but basically like heckling in a crowd. And I shouted out, Lucifer, Yahweh comes against you. And then I got arrested by somebody in the crowd, and then I kind of spun out of it. I did that spinning thing again. I said to who was with me, spin, and so we spun, and I think that allows you to change dimensions when you're in the astral. And then so when I came back to Shemyaza the next morning, he said, you confronted Lucifer, stupid, for now he's aware you are one of Yahweh's chosen. I've thrown a barrier around you, for you're not yet able. All we angels move against Lucifer, who's joined with humanity and the jinn. He is Azazel, and I work not with he. So, but I think Coetting has done a lot of work. But then I think that they think Lucifer and Azazel is different. I don't know. I have seen that somewhere written. I'm not sure. But it's interesting that I got the sigil for Shemyaza through Brian Barrett, through J.S. Garrett. J.S. Garrett is friends with Ian Coetting, and they do work with Lucifer, but they, I think, have done the work with Shemyaza. So I don't really understand what's going on, which is what made me reticent, because I thought, am I being conned here? Is this a con to get me sucked into dark side? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It's confusing.
It's confusing, but I mean, I get the feeling that it's a good entity, but I do also, I mean, the bit that he said earlier is Earth is to be cleansed, and Earth is to be something. I can't read that word. Cleansed and cleansed through the Father. Something and cleansed, or maybe cleansed and cleansed through the Father. All life forms will travel up or down. So that's either the tribulation or the going into the underworld. So it's like almost like they're saying that the third dimension will end, But we've got the ascension. Pardon?
Yeah. I was going to say, when you think about it, though, don't you think, I know this sounds a bit predictable, but don't you think that the vaccination is beginning to sound like having the mark of the beast, isn't it? And like it says in the Bible, you won't be able to do this, you won't be able to do that. And there's loads of arguments about vaccine passports, and that is beginning to ring true. So if that's beginning to ring true and it's manifesting, and that was predicted in the Bible, God knows how many thousands of years ago, whatever, then why wouldn't this be true as well? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not expressing myself very well, sorry.
No,
but do you see the point I'm trying to make?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
But it's not, yeah, I hear you. So basically, they want this earth or Lucifer. So, I mean, I never really believed in Lucifer, and they say Satan this, Satan that. All Satan means is attacker. So, so what's happened clearly, certain amount, and they're probably Lucifer's children. So they've probably been in league with Lucifer for a long, long time. They probably channel his energy. They might even be hybrid. They might be hybrid with the jinn. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially through Netflix, like the American Horror, like things like Suicide Squad, the character played by that model girl in it, you know, she plays the god and she says things, oh, they used to worship us, but now they worship the machines. So you've got a lot of interaction with different beings. You've got like the jinn, you've got the shining ones, fallen angelic. But I do think this Lucifer character, that these people that are in the higher levels, you know, the controllers of us, that they have linked with Lucifer. And I do think that they want a lot of us gone. They do. It's obvious, you know. I mean, this virus has come and nobody gives a shit where it's come from. They've stopped checking that out. It's like they don't care. And, you know, the vaccines, and it's like it's a whole physical program for the whole planet. And even I was reading the Daily Mail this morning, they even use the word the planet. I mean, it's so unusual. They'd never use words like that. That's always for the truther community to say things like planet Earth. But they use it, they said, oh, the gamma variation is now sweeping the planet. And I thought, you know, this whole thing that's going on now, it's just completely global. It's completely to do with this fleshy, you know, us. And these things, like if you watch that American Horror, and I know, yeah, okay, it's called horror, but it's got so many celebrities in it, it makes it very, very attractive. It's not like a normal horror. But if you watch that, especially Apocalypse, the series Apocalypse, series 8, it goes into that, you know, the blonde-haired guy, he's Lucifer. There's the, you know, Apocalypse and what they're doing. And it's very anti the flesh. It's very anti, and the people that are in it, they're always intra-dimensional. It's almost like this new agenda of people who become intra-dimensional, and you know, the beings that are coming in to make us intra-dimensional. And there's good and evil in that, you know. But it's interesting that, you know, you can either go up or either go down. And as you were saying, the people, you know, on the protests in London said the Lord's Prayer. And I think Jesus and Yahweh, I think we've got to look at that and think, well, did they make us? And if they did, they probably know what's best for us. And there's no point in us clinging to like, oh, life on earth, life on earth, life on earth, if it's not what, you know, it's not what's good for us. If it's good for us to have life in the astral, I mean, that's actually it's a good life, you know, it's a good life. Why are we clinging to life here if it's been so corrupted? And it has been corrupted, hasn't it? I mean, it's if you think about it, you know, kids, when they come here, if they're not totally protected, even some that even are protected, they get abused, they get battered, they get sexually abused. This isn't a good place. Maybe it is good that it gets rinsed clean. Maybe it is good that it ends in fires and floods. Maybe we should resign ourselves to saying, right, okay, we want out of here. We want to rise. We want a life in the astral where it's not about money. It's not about fear. It's not about food. It's not about survival or a roof. You know, in the astral, as you well know, you want a house, you blink and you make it. You just make it with your mind, you know, and you can have a really good life there. You know, it's not 3D or nothing, which they make us believe. Again, that's a lie that traps us into that, you know, that way of thinking, you know.
Well, David Curtin, the Who today, and I must say, a packed Trafalgar Square full of thousands of people on this anti-lockdown protest. Not only the Lord's Prayer was said en masse by everybody in Trafalgar Square, David Curtin stood there, and this is somebody who was a candidate for the Mayor of London, So fully in 3D, but he said, this is a spiritual war.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. And he said, I am a Christian too, like the person that was speaking before, Karen Shamani, whatever it is, who also said she was a Christian. And they've started a new political party. And I can't remember what it's called, but I know the letters make the word sun, S-U-N, which is interesting. But another strange thing that I saw just like browsing YouTube things today, you know, like Joe Biden has done a speech recently that it was quite confused. I think he was being interviewed by Don Lemon in front of an audience, but he came out with something really strange. He said, now what if the children are asking questions? What if the kids are asking questions? And they asked this, and then he said, and then they say, well, are the aliens ever here then? And I thought, did he just say that? Did the President of the United States just say quite casually, and what if the children ask us about the aliens being here? I thought, oh God, everything is just going turbo. It really is going turbo.
It is going turbo, yes.
Yeah.
It is. It is like everything's moving so fast.
Well, it's fascinating scary. what you've told us. So what's the latest development with Shemyaza then? Has there been any?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he said that interesting thing that all life forms will travel up or down. I suppose we can make a choice, and time is short, and the reign of the evil ones is over. Rejoice. Well, I do agree that the earth has been being controlled by evil for a long, long time. And it's weird, like only certain people know it because the rest of us are like in this weird dream, this trance where we sort of move through life. We get married, we have the house, and then we die. But some people have really felt evil, they've had it visited on them. And it's almost like they're so alone in that because the rest of us turn away from evil. We're like, oh, evil, that's like serial killers and people like Chris Berry D and the crime con, and that's what evil is. Well, evil is actually earth. And, it does say in the Bible, love not the world or the things of the world. If you love the world and things of the world, then the love of the Father isn't in you. So it says all that, already. Some people will listen to that, others don't. But so, yeah, so I got to the end of it. Oh, okay. So basically, he said my attention is scattered even when I oh yeah, because of the Lucifer thing. He says he's throwing a barrier over me. He said I was in alignment with Yahweh, and then he said all we angels move against Lucifer, who is joined with humanity and the jinn. He is Azazel when I work not with he. And then he goes on to say my thoughts are scattered. My mind went off. I mean, although I was channeling that and writing it, my mind went off on a tangent. And he said, your mind is scattered even when you sit with me, even when you commune with me, your thoughts scatter. Allow me to ease this. It's fear run riot inside of you. And then it says, it urges me to read about the elements. And then it says there's far more than that to learn. So learn fast and become a master. You have no fire. He told me I had no fire.
You have no fire?
Yeah, he told me I have no fire at all, which is interesting. My altar, Catherine, has got all of that, but me, the one talking to you, no, I don't have any. I literally, I'm a wet wick. I wake up in the morning, I shit myself. I think, oh God, what if I get thrown out of here? Oh God, what if I end up in the street? Oh God, what if I get sick? That's what my life's like. It's like I live in hell, to be honest. I live in fear because, I've had that experience of anything I've done and grown, I haven't got access to that part of me. So
but do you, sorry to interrupt you, but do you not think about all the things that you've experienced and you've come out the other side and you've survived, and has that not made you stronger?
Well, it's because it's a different part of me that's experienced it. It's weird. It's almost
Okay.
like, it's almost like, oh, you've been an actor. You acted with Tom Hardy in films, don't you remember? And you can say, well, yeah, I remember doing it. But if you don't have the feeling and the experience of it, then it's just like, might as well not have done it. It's almost like going through it on drugs or something. You don't have the feeling.
Okay. I
So
see. I see.
that
Right.
Yeah, so I'll probably work with him on that. I mean, I'm sure he's aware of everything, but what probably he needs this part of me anyway to grow up. To not. Obviously I can't have a part of me that's like a child. Anyway, so he said that I don't have any fire. I would agree with that, and because that's how I feel. He said I got no earth, and that I'm somehow underwater. I'm immersed in all the elements, in a prison of personal fear and doubt. Oh,
Right.
which is true. And then he says, I bring you my kindness, suckle like a baby and grow strong from it. Heal and grow with it. We await you. Um, we await you to join with us. And so, yeah, that's it basically. I
We
haven't.
await you to join with us.
Well, I guess.
Wow.
Well. Yeah. Oh, hang on. There is more. There is more. Oh, there is more. Sorry, I've got
Okay.
more pages. I'll carry on. I asked permission to share this. I'm sure it's okay. And then it says, then he goes on to say, my heart lies heavy, too heavy with the third dimension. My spirit will cling to yours. Allow it, and each day I will refresh you with it. I haven't really been doing that lately. And he says that I'm most willing to gift you security, just ask. So then I asked for security. I say, okay, I asked for security. So time will tell. Let's see what happens. I've asked for time to write, for time for peace, for time to celebrate Yahweh. Um, and then he said, there are two factors. There are two factors. One is the continuation of humanity, which is seen as Luciferian, and one, similarly, the jinn are joining with them. The end will come naturally for many. And then he basically told me that the thing we were talking about earlier, that's Luciferian population reduction. So it is. And then he said buy something, and millions, buy millions. Okay. Then he's
What's by
saying
millions?
population reduction.
Oh, well,
Um,
I
yeah,
think a
and then
lot of people have worked that out.
he said in less than a year there's going to be a lot more. And then he's saying then a lot of chaos is going to come, because of what people will be seeing and will rage against. So that's natural chaos from us, not payment. And then before then, I will. Oh, okay. And then he's saying, I have to become a voice, to help people, to help stop fear. That's odd when I'm feeling so much bloody fear. And then he says, you're already on your pathway. Wash before you commune with me, and then he will be able to commune with me tighter. Awaken to your potential. You walked in many moons ago. Like all walk-ins, you've been sectioned off and attacked. Okay, so he's telling me that I walked in many moons ago, that I'm a walk-in, which I knew I was a walk-in. I've written about it in my Searching for Daddy book, where I was age 23 and I wanted to my life to end, so I begged these beings to swap with me, and I walked in. I've been a walk-in for a long time, but it's hard to sort of suck that one up, because you tend to think, well, hang on, if I'm walking, what am I actually doing? Do you know what I mean? But I think I walked into a body that was tied up with those monarch programs. I mean, who knows? But then he said you walked in many moons ago, so he's confirming that. Like all walk-ins, you have been something and attacked. Connect with me, and you will be led out of it, and something. Commune with me more frequently. Then he's saying writing is your way out of poverty, to continue to push with that. I've all but given up with that. And then he says, rather than use my anger when I'm attacked by other people, to use my femininity and to increase my femininity rather to use anger. And then it says, weave a silken web, use intent, ask the universe, always ask for things I want. And then okay, well that's about it then. And that was, a couple of weeks ago. And I tend to, he basically told me to get up each morning, bathe, and then commune with him. And I don't do it. I mean, I don't know why I don't do it. Catholic reticence, I'd say.
Well, why don't you try it? Why don't you commit to doing it now for the sake of the listeners? And why don't you commit to doing it for a week, 2 weeks, and then we'll come back and do another show about it, and you can tell us what your experience was like.
Yeah, could do. I'm just, a bit scared because, I think, well, what kind of being is it? And, even though, yeah, he's showing me kindness, I'm thinking, yeah, I guess, I've got my full senses, but there's just that reticence there. And I suppose, in one way, and this is an awful thing to admit, it's laziness. I wake up in the morning and I'm busy feeling depressed, and I sort of kind of get stuck into feeling depressed, like, oh, you're older now, and you don't look great, and all of a sudden, oh, what are you actually doing with your life? And so that kicks in, and then I think, well, I need to go and get a coffee, put some sugar in it, have something nice to eat, and then I get on maybe Facebook, then I sort of fiddle with my book a bit. And by the time you're getting into the morning, and then I think, well, okay, I'll, try and bring in money somehow. And before you know it, it's like midday. And then I think, what, should I have a bath? Then, I'm going to take Arthur out for a drive round, and Shemyaza gets put to one side, if you know what I mean.
Well, draw yourself up a timetable then. And put it by your bed or stick it in the where you're going to see it when you wake up. And if you're thinking that you're doing it for your listeners, which you've got a lot of listeners, you've got a lot of people that really like your work and follow you, you're doing it for them, and you're doing it for their enlightenment and education. Right. And all right, you are taking a risk, but the thing is shit's already hitting the fan.
It is.
And we're already in the war, and it's like Stalingrad right now, if you know what I mean. We've got to fight our way out of this. So really, we have a duty. If we, because we're the exception, not the rule, people like us, and we have a duty towards the rest of our fellow human beings, regardless of what they think of us. I mean, that's immaterial at this point. So I think you should, I think you should. Well, I'm going to start doing things as well. I'm going to start doing my own investigations to what I need to do spiritually. So I'll be doing it as well. I'm not quite sure yet, so maybe I need some guidance about that.
I guess Brian keeps saying, oh, don't speak to him, and cut it off. It's not doing you any good, because he kept saying, oh, you've had that bad luck with your car, so where was Shemyaza then? But I don't think he's like that. I don't think he's like gonna make sure. I mean, basically with that car thing, he I got ripped off, but I didn't go there. And when I was getting ripped off, when I went there the last time, when he asked me to pay the extra £500, I knew he was conning me. So he looked me in the eye. I looked him back. He looked down, and I thought, you're conning me, you're shafting me here. And yet, knowing that, I handed him my money. And so why did I do that? I have to look at what kind of a people pleaser am I?
You did that out of fear.
Well, it wasn't fear. It's just I'm a licker. I'm a people pleaser, and it's disgusting, and it's got to go. What kind of person will I be in a war situation when I'm just a licker? Do you know what I mean? A goddamn people pleaser. I thought, oh, I'm going to please you. I know you're conning me, but I don't want to embarrass you because I've caught you out conning me. You just give me that look, and I see that shady, but I don't want to embarrass you. You're a con artist. I don't want to embarrass you in that. Here's my £500 because I don't want to make you embarrassed, Mr. Con Artist. And that's got to go. I mean, it's got to go. And I've suffered so much pain over that. My gut has been bad because I feel raped by the guy. But I have to learn that next time I do that, next time I people please to my detriment or to the detriment of what is good, I am going to suffer, which I have. You know, I feel raped by the guy because I let him rape me. He looked at me and I knew, and I said, here you are, here's my knickers, I'll just take them off for you. You know, he didn't do it by force. I could have said, mate, that's not a proper invoice. That says oil filter, 500 quid. I'm not going to pay it. Now you give me my car back or I'm going to call the police, mate. Or I'm going to get some tough guys I know. You're going to rip me off that way. But I did, and I lick. It's wrong. So I think Brian was saying, oh, Shemyaza, let that happen to you. I don't think Shemyaza is that type of entity that doesn't want me to grow up, that doesn't want me to be a licker. I'm sure he wants more for me than being a licker. What help can I be to people if I'm that kind of shabby individual? Do you know what I mean? So I think Brian's wrong. I mean, I don't know what you think about that.
I think that Shemyaza wouldn't infantilise you. You have to learn. And you learn through experience. I mean, it's a bit, what's the word? Stupid, really, to sort of think that's it. You've got this like big daddy entity in your life who's just not going to let anything horrible happen to his little girl. It's not going to work like that. Shemyaza's got respect for you. He expects, I think it's a bloke, isn't it, or whatever. He, for the sake of argument, he expects respect back, and it's like being a parent. You know yourself, you're a parent. You have to be cruel to be kind with when you're bringing your son up. With kids, you have to do it because if you don't lay boundaries down, they end up being monsters, spoiled monsters that nobody likes. They can't function in life, all the rest of it. So you have to learn, all right, that was a painful experience. What you've learned from it, so you have to build on that experience, and like you say, you're not going to let that happen again. You realise when you've got to look at why why ultimately, what was the core reason you let that happen? You handed your £500 over. You obviously felt some kind of vulnerability, so you get to the core of it, and you've just got to.
Pleasing. It is. It's people pleasing that you catch them in a point. I've done it before. When you catch people and they're taking advantage of you, they're ripping you off, and you feel embarrassed for them. You think, don't worry, it's okay. I'm just a low person here. So if you want to take my money, it's okay. I'm not going to embarrass you. And I suppose it's growing up in an abusive family where I've
been in situations like that, and it's when I've felt really vulnerable. I mean, it was really silly. But it was when I was, maybe not so sad, but it's when I was living in Salford and on my own with my kids, and they were a lot younger. And in Salford, I know what it's like literally what it's like to live in a war and how stressful it is. And I'd ordered pizza and it was delivered. And I thought the guy was going to say, I don't know, so for the sake of argument, £11.50. And it was £9. And I said to him, oh, I thought you were going to say £11.50. And he did. And he said, oh, £11, but he just told me it was £9. So I gave him the £11.50. And then I thought, why did I do that? And he overcharged me. And it was me. And I did it for the same reason that you've just described, because I didn't want to embarrass him and I didn't want to be embarrassed. And it was just easier. You know, it was just easier to do that. And I've kicked myself loads of times afterwards. I've thought, you silly bitch, why did you, even though it was like centuries ago now, but I felt really vulnerable at the time. It was a really sort of vulnerable time for loads and loads of reasons. So I think it's part of it is how vulnerable you feel.
And it's a habit. If you grow up with abusers and you see, and you can
Yeah,
see how weak they are as well. There's a pity going on there with them, and you kind of learn how to caretake abusive people, and you kind of
yeah.
you help them save face. I helped my parents, and and my brother. My brother used to get bullied by the proper boys up the road, and I used to help him. I used to help him, but he had the knife out for me, but I helped him. It's being that kind of person, but sometimes you have to put your foot down. So I mean, I don't know what to say back to Brian when he says I should end it with Shemyaza,
But
and
what's it got to do with him? It's your spiritual life, it's your spiritual path, it's your destiny. What's it got to do with him? What right has anybody got to tell you what you do in that respect? None whatsoever. It's what you feel is right. You would know if this was wrong. You would know, like you said, you have your gut feelings, you have your intuition, you have your psychic ability. You would know instinctively if there was something off about this. So it's up to it's your decision, totally your decision. I mean,
it's something I've never done before. Obviously, being a medium, being able to speak to the other side. I did have a guide years and years ago when I was 25. I mean, but I had to go into deep meditation, and only it was very sort of, it was really hard to reach. And but not since then. And obviously, I can talk to people that have crossed over. But I've never had communication, with a proper spiritual being like this. I mean, it is interesting. He did tell me to search for his image, and which I found this painting. It's unusual, and yeah, it is an adventure. I just don't want to get out of my pram or in any way, screw up, because it always says, oh, you can't talk to that, you can't do that, you can't do that, that's wrong, and I don't know.
yes, but there's always people telling you can't do that and you can't do this. Why should you listen to them when it's
But
your experience? Have
what
you
about,
seen that film, The Dark Song? And I've talked to you about it before. A Dark Song.
No.
You should get it. It would really help you, because it's a woman doing basically the same thing as you, but it's through the Abramelin ritual, and it's 6 months long. And it's to communicate with her angel, to convene with her angel, because she needs something from him, her, she, whatever. But she like goes through hell to get to achieve it. She achieves it, and she has, at the beginning, she has the help of a magician. I won't spoil it for you, but she pays this magician a lot of money to help her, because she's want of a better term, hell bent on this mission that she's on, and she achieves it. And it's like it's really a really good film. I thoroughly recommend it. I've watched it over and over again. I just can't stop watching it. I love it so much. But it's the dedication, the portrayal to this magical ritual, and this experience of magic, and of the out of ordinary, and the things that happen. And it's done so well. It's filmed so, it's beautiful film visually, and it's very well cast as well, which the casting is so important in films like this. And the actress, I've watched interviews with the actress afterwards, and you can tell she was, just looking at her as a person separate from the character she was playing, she was perfect for that role. That will give you a lot of strength and inspiration watching that film. You should order it off Magpie or something like that for a few quid and watch it. So yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't think it's like this is like a form of mind control. It's like when, all right, I'm not slagging off Christians, but when Christians say, oh, you shouldn't do the tarot, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, well, what right has anybody got to tell anybody what they shouldn't do? If it feels right for you and it feels like you're going to get some knowledge from it, it's going to benefit you and others, then it's sometimes it's people trying to control what other people do, and it's wrong, I think.
I get a lot of that in my life. I get a lot of that, from Paul, and he's always saying anything psychic is Satan. When the car went tits up, he said, he said, "Oh, that's Satan doing that to you. Satan hates that car." And I get a lot of that. I didn't expect to get that from Brian Barrett, but you know, he's been so vociferous, you know, messaging me so much about you must drop Shemyaza, drop him, drop.
Maybe
And I
something's working through him. Have you ever thought of that?
yeah, I don't know why you're saying that so much. I said, look, I've had success, haven't I? And he goes, no, your life is chaos. Well, it's actually not chaos, though. There was the car thing, yeah, but, you know,
I
other
wouldn't say
than
your life
that,
is chaos, love.
what?
I wouldn't say your life is chaos. I don't think Brian gets out much. You should go to some of the places I lived. That's chaos. That's people living in chaos. You know, your life isn't chaos. You know, you have your challenges, you know, and everybody's got different challenges, but your life's not chaos. You know, no way is it chaos. Talking out of his ass. You're talking out your ass, Brian. Shut it.
No, I do like Brian. I do like Brian. Ah, dear. Anyway, it just sometimes wears me down when he says that, because I think, well, hey, I just want some peace right now. You know, you're going to chill out and watch a really cheesy movie, and suddenly Brian texts you and says, you know, rather than like, hey, I like hearing from him, he's an interesting guy. And then he says, you got to break off. And I think, oh no. And then there's a whole argument about that. And you just think, I just don't need, you know, I don't need to have a conversation about that, you know? I don't
Well,
need
well, it's weird. You know, I mean, have you asked him why? What does he say when you ask him why?
He says he's saying it for my own good. I got to break off now and concentrate on doing Reiki.
Oh, for God's sake, Reiki? You're
It's
not a
almost like
Reiki person. You've
yeah,
got
I
far
know.
too much
It's almost like
talent
telling
and
him to
ability.
bake cakes. And then he did another thing. He had that lovely lady on, Olga, and she did this kind of spell. And he said, you've got to say to Shemyaza, stand down now and commune with this other god. You know, I
She
don't
said
want
what? You've got to what?
tell Shemyaza to stand down and
Oh,
you've got to commune with this other god. And I know that would upset, you know, I know you can't go dealing with lots of different beings all at once. You know, it's disrespectful as well, you know, but he wanted me to do that too. I don't know.
well, that's a bit strange, isn't it?
I don't
Yes.
understand. I don't understand. But I have to continue on this road, and I do have the thing about getting him up in the morning and bombing into the bath, and then do. But you know, maybe I should do. I guess it's commitment. I guess it's insulting to that being by not doing it, by not bothering, and day passes day where I don't bother doing it, and I don't know why I don't. But maybe it's Brian's influence. I don't know why I don't bother, because when I always get like interesting communication, what is it in me that's like dragging its heels so much, you know?
I think you're self-sabotaging. I don't know why, but well, you've got an opportunity here to really advance spiritually and
Really?
strengthen yourself. Well, yeah, of course you have.
Right.
So why don't you make a commitment from yourself to doing this for a short period of time? You know, just when I say, I'm not saying don't do it in the future, but for a short period of time, work out what you write things down if you have to, do flow charts, diagrams, whatever. Work out what you have to do during the day, what your obligations are, and then work in your dedication to Shemyaza, and do it that way, and do yourself a 2-week timetable, and then make yourself an obligation that in 2 weeks' time we're going to do another show, and we're going to talk about the Shemyaza Report kind of thing.
Okay.
Because your listeners will be really interested to hear what you've got to say. You know, because we're humans. I mean, when you look at the world, one thing that humans have in common is to have spirituality. Even, like I said before, even people who are living in jungle and know nothing of the modern world have spirituality. That is part of the human experience. So this is one aspect of that human experience. So we have as humans, we have a right and, to explore that. And you've got an opportunity. You've got a brilliant opportunity. Not many people get this in their life. So you've got a golden opportunity. So pursue it. Do your best for a couple of weeks. Like I said, write down like a timetable. You're going to get up, do this, have a bath, do the communion with them, and then make a note of it. And then at the end of when it comes up to the end of the 2 weeks, just write down, sort of collect all your writings together and put it together, and we'll talk about it and we'll analyse it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think you should do it. I think it would be a really good thing for you.
Yeah.
And I know
right.
you've been really upset by the car incident, and I know why, but why don't you move forward in the sense that, I'm not saying forget it or anything like that, or move on, I don't mean it like that. Take away from it what you've learned, what lessons you've learned, and say to yourself that you're going to change the way you think, that you're going to start to try at least to change the way you think about situations like that, and you're going to have a different approach to it in the future. So start to try to change the way you think and the way you approach things like that. Don't think I'm a failure. Forget all that. You've done that. Now you need to do something positive and constructive about it. Even if it might be hard, just start to try to change the way you think about it. I think, right, well, I've learned a lesson there. All right, I've made a mistake again. I know it's a mistake that I repeat a lot, but I understand why I make it. In the future, I'm going to try and approach it this way. And I'm going to say this to this person, and it might feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to make myself do it. Because sometimes you do have to go through the pain. You do have to go through the fire to come out the other side. But it's short-term pain, long-term gain.
You're right. So, yeah, you're right.
But then the next time something like that comes across your path, you're stronger. You might not feel totally strong, but you're stronger than you were. And you won't take as much shit as you used to.
Just to say something like, hang on, this isn't right, and just hold your hand up and say stop,
Yeah.
Just stop.
I mean, part of it, I think, was probably cultural attitudes and that you're a woman. And
I think that I'm a woman played a massive part in it. Massive.
If you were some big geezer and they walked in and they said, well, wait a minute, mate, what's this? What are you giving me?
Yeah.
And they start getting a bit arsey, and then because it was a big guy, they think, oh, right, looks like he's going to lose it, or is he going to get a bit, and they think twice, but they think because you're a woman. I don't know, I disagree with Shemyaza about that. Femininity, no, you've got to, power up. And just because you're a woman, they think they can treat you like that. Well, no.
I think he meant that sometimes I deal with people with anger. I tend to go straight to anger rather than I don't use honey. I can go straight to the old anger, almost like a sort of guy, and I'm not a gangster, but I do go straight into gangster mood, and it does make enemies, whereas I should use honey, and I should say, and calming waters, and and all that, and I don't go into that. And I do see that point, I do go, I've had it said to me before, what you going gangster for, but I hate being ripped off or anything, I mean, just drives me crazy.
Yeah, well, I think most people do. But I mean, Shemyaza should try being a bloody woman in this world right now. Also, as you get older, you find that you put up with less crap. You just will not tolerate it. I think it's a combination of things. I think it's hormones. I think you're tired. I think you're just not putting up with it. And you're just it's like the Karen thing, isn't it? That's popular on YouTube. There's all these video clips of middle-aged women mainly, women of a certain age, all shouting, pointing, demanding managers, the Karen phenomenon. But some of that is because you just think, I am not putting up with this. You're not the fluttering eyelashes, giggling little girl anymore. That's way in the past.
But it's like we don't really know what feminine is, I think it's different to what we think, I think it's probably that strong, which it's hard if you don't have a mother that shows you what it is, you don't really know what it is. I don't think it's out there. I mean, look on TV. There was that Jessica Lange figure in that, again, American Horror, in the Coven series 5. I would like to be like Jessica Lange, but she was a big bitch. It's hard to sort of get that sort of, and then we get encouraged to be bitches, like bitches. There's all these books, bitches win at life, and then we get hard and nasty. Those books. Be a bitch.
I don't know. What are these books?
Oh yeah, there's loads of them. Yeah, just bitches get on and be a bitch boss and all these kind of and we get encouraged to be hard ass and ruthless, and that's all strong feminine. But actually, that's not strong feminine at all.
No, that's being a horrible person.
Yeah, it's difficult. I best go, Joanna, because I feel a bit weak now. I need to.
Yeah,
I need to.
It's coming up to 2. We're 10 minutes shy of 2 hours anyway. So.
This illness, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I know it's COVID related. I'm pretty damn sure it is. Thank you, neighbour. Love you. Maybe hers is gone now. In fact, I haven't heard any coughing. I hate that. When people have germs and then you get it and they don't have it anymore, and you think, it's around a better host. And you think,
you better ring 119 then and order a test. And it comes out pretty quick, and then because I had to isolate just in case, you ring for a Royal Mail courier to come and pick it up, so you don't have to go out to the post box or whatever.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I haven't been going out anywhere. It's almost like I'm still on lockdown.
What, you haven't been going out because of the heat? Oh, come on, you're telling folks you're out doing your egg chucking.
Oh, I did. I did. I went out and did the egg chucking. I went out and did the egg chucking, and that's who lent me his car. That's not my car, obviously. Mine's still needs another £600. That's whose car that he lent me it to go to the park because I was feeling down. So I guess that was a nice thing.
Yeah. Well, it's going to cool down over this weekend. I don't know. It's meant to be a lot of thunderstorms in the south, but make the most of it being cooler, because apparently August it's going to go absolutely mega hot again.
Really?
And we're gonna have a very long heat wave. So
geez, this is all again. This is the harp and the machine. Well, not harp, but the weather. They're controlling the weather. You see, China had a flood that they haven't had in 1,000 years, and loads of people died. They drowned. I mean, they were up to their necks in it. This is all, I think, weather wars as well. They do. This one is maybe doing it to that country, and
probably
to that. I mean, anyway, time for another program on that. Anyway, I'll let you go, and I'm going to drink some chaga mushroom tea or something.
What the hell's chaga mushroom tea? Was that calming or something?
No, they say it cures COVID. I don't know if I've got bloody COVID. I just feel a bit shitty. But chaga, they say it cures it. So I went and bought some. It's bloody expensive, 13 quid for it's quite a big packet. And then you put a spoonful of it in hot chocolate, and it does make your body feel stronger. They say it cures the corona. So I bought some. And it makes you feel very strong when you drink it.
Where'd you buy that from then?
Whole Foods.
All right. I've heard of it, but there's quite a lot of things that are bandied around, like ashwagandha and things like that. There's a lot of things around nowadays that are meant to be new things. I mean, like bee pollen and stuff like that. They're meant to do different things, and I don't know. But they're all expensive. I have noticed that.
They're all expensive. I bought some chamomile tincture online. I tried it last night, and it is actually good. It's better than chamomile tea. You have chamomile tea and it's supposed to relax you, and you buy it and you think, hang on, I'm not feeling relaxed at tour here, and it's really pissing off because chamomile is relaxing. It's because it's not very strong and not high quality chamomile, but you can buy chamomile tincture, which is massively strong. So
Right.
you can get any kind of tea, even chamomile tea itself, and just put a squirt of it in there, and it made me. I took some last night, and it did help me sleep. I did feel my body starting to relax. I mean, chamomile is good once you get, a strong version of it,
That's like a boost kind of thing. Okay, then. So, well, thank you for listening to Spectre Detectives, Christine, Joanna Hart, and myself, co-host Joanna Greasley. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion about angels and other such subjects, and we'll be making and we'll be giving you an update in a couple of weeks' time about Christine's progress and other such matters. And
the Shemyaza Report. I love
the Shemyaza Report. Yeah. But it's been delightful chatting with you anyway, Christine. So
and thank you to Brian Barrett for giving me the sigil, and telling me how to do it. All power to him for that. And of course, it came from J.S. Garrett, and he channeled it, which is it's obviously amazing. It's obviously an amazing sigil. It's obviously bang on. So that's amazing. Normally they come out of ancient books. So yeah.
Okay, so credit where credit is due then.
Yeah, and thank you, Joanna, for interviewing. That was awesome. Well done.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Christine.
God bless.
And thank you, listeners.
Thank you for listening. God bless. Bye.
Bye.